All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi Stadium after 49er practice today, and the practice, we got to see the first part of practice, and here are just some of the things that happened today down here in Santa Clara. Well, the Niners have released running back Brian Hill from the practice squad, and they signed the kicker that they just signed, Matthew Wright. So Matthew Wright has been signed, and Brian Hill has been released. Once again, no Nick Bosa yet. The holdout remains going. We don't know if he's going to sign or not sign before week one, but there was no Nick Bosa today at practice. The 49ers are getting right down to it at this point. I mean, we're literally 6 days away from the first game and still no Nick Bosa. Now, Brock Purdy did practice today. He looked just like Brock Purdy always does. He practiced. He threw the ball around. He looked pretty good. As far as on the side working, you had George Kittle, who's got an adductor, which is a groin injury. You've got Oren Burks, Jordan Mason, Danny Gray, who's on the IR, and Ray McLeod, all working on the side. The other guy who's been working on the side that I'm starting to wonder if he's going to be there for week one is Tayshawn Gibson. So Gibson, when Kyle Shanahan has had an opportunity to comment on Gibson's status, he just says, hey, he's a veteran, he's an old guy, they're babying him type situation. But it's been a number of days now since Gibson practiced, and it makes you wonder if Jair Brown, the Penn State third-round pick, may start opposite Talanoa Hufanga in Pittsburgh in week one. So that is definitely something to look for. If there was any significant happening out here at practice today, it was that Tayshawn Gibson continues to not practice, and it kind of brings up the question of whether Jair Brown, the rookie, will make a start in week one opposite Talanoa Hufanga at Heinz Field on Sunday against the Steelers. I think that was probably the most significant thing of the day. Gibson has not practiced in a while. The Niners kind of downplay it, make it seem like he's a veteran who just needs time off. But you got to wonder now, with this being, the practice week before week one, with him still not practicing and working out on the side, how serious is his injury? Is he going to be there for week one? If not, are we going to see Jair Brown? Now, there's a lot of people that would like to see Jair Brown anyway, but Gibson is a ball hawk. He's got over 30 career interceptions. He's the veteran that gets everybody lined up right, and it will be interesting to see if the Niners go real young at safety in week one. Hufanga's an all-pro player and a Pro Bowl caliber player at that, and now will we see Jair Brown and Talanoa together? I think that's a big question mark going into week one. Also today, we saw Dre Greenlaw, George Odom, and Talanoa Hufanga all return to practice. So all three of those guys had not been practicing. They all practiced today. We saw both kickers kick, Matthew Wright and Jake Moody, who was not in uniform, by the way. Jake Moody was not in uniform, but they both were kicking this afternoon. Also, we had some number switches today. Brandon Allen, who was number 4 in the preseason, he's now number 17. Jake Moody is now number 4. Robert Beal Jr., who wore 55 in training camp, is now wearing 51. John Feliciano, who wore 50, I'm not sure what Feliciano wore, but he's wearing 55 right now. And also Chris Conley's got a new number. Chris Conley, I think, wore 17 in training camp. Now Brandon Allen is number 17, and Chris Conley is wearing 84, which was Miller's number. So, a number of number switches today on the practice field. Also, it was announced today that the 49ers will wear their 1994 white throwback uniforms on Thanksgiving when they take on the Seattle Seahawks on November the 23rd. And the 49ers will be wearing their 1994 red throwback jerseys In the national TV game, which is going to be September 21st, that's week 3 against the New York Giants. They will be wearing those red throwbacks. And also on Christmas, when they take on the Baltimore Ravens, they'll be wearing the red throwbacks as well on Christmas. After practice, I had a chance to talk to 3 49ers. We'll put all those videos out on YouTube later today. That being Colton McKivitz, the starting right tackle. Had an elongated conversation with McKivitz. You know, the interesting thing about McKivitz is that he is slated to block TJ Watt. You know, TJ Watt plays the defensive left end spot, so he goes up against right tackles exclusively. So you're going to see TJ Watt and Colton McKivitz lock horns in week 1. We talked a little bit about that matchup. I also had a chance to talk to Kalia Davis, who, you know, had a hamstring injury this summer and missed a lot of time. You know, Kalia Davis has got his weight down, his strength up, and he's feeling really good about his season that's about to get going. And then we finished up talking to Willie Snead, and I told Willie, I said, Willie, I got some big hands, you know, but I hear you have 11-inch hands. So we went hand to hand, and sure enough, you know, his hand is definitely bigger than mine. I can palm a basketball with my hand, but, you know, Willie's got 11-inch hands, the biggest on the entire team. And anyway, we talked a little bit about his hands, and he's on the practice squad. We talked a little bit about how being a veteran and trying to get ready for the season. And, you know, he's just a great guy, man, and a really good, I think one of the real positives that the league has done in recent years is to make the practice squad not just for rookies, but also for veterans. So now that the Niners have a veteran receiver like Willie Snead, who's ready to step in at a moment's notice, and he's practicing on a regular basis now. But he's on the practice squad to begin the year. So I do think that's a positive for the 49ers to have guys like Chris Conley and Willie Snead who are ready to roll right out of the chute. But the big story down here in Santa Clara is really twofold. One, Nick Bosa remains unsigned, with, you know, today being Monday, Labor Day, and the 49ers getting ready to travel on Friday to Pittsburgh, and of course getting ready to play in 6 days at Heinz Field. Still no Nick Bosa, and I think probably the most interesting you know, wrinkle of today was that Tayshawn Gibson continues to not practice, and it makes you wonder if we're going to see the rookie Jair Brown starting opposite Talanoa Hufanga Sunday in Pittsburgh. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary and tell them that Larry Kruger sent you. And thanks once again to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.